Hi, I'm Dr. Splat. I'm here in one of the Unruly Studios to tell you about Splats. Now they are... Oh! Splatsy! I thought I said hold my calls. Sorry, you can take this. 1-800, get your splats. Yeah, yes, this is Dr. Splat. You want to hear about the unruly philosophy? Okay, great question. Stay tuned. At Unruly Studios, we believe that every young person has a lot of unruliness that they can unlock, especially in creative ways. Rules are made to be changed around, and you can do that while coding these splats, which are large buttons that light up and make sounds that you can activate by stepping on them, pressing them, maybe with an elbow, or dropping something on them.
Wow!
And they work on a table, on the floor, on the wall if you have something to hang them on.
Ew!
They also take 3 AA batteries, and you can turn them on using the switch on the back. You should always remember to switch your splats off when they're not in use, using the on-off switch on the back.
Okay!
Occasionally, if you forget, we have a feature called the battery saving mode. After a long period of inactivity, say 10 minutes, the splats will go into a battery saving mode where they're not actively listening to the app, where they're just going to occasionally flash a blue light to let you know that they're still switched on, but they're not actively listening to the app. That will save them batteries, so watch out for that. And you'll see this light means they're waiting to be connected to your tablet or your Chromebook using the Unruly Splats app. This app uses code on blocks that we're going to show you how to put together to make creations on 1, 2, 5, or 6 splats, however many you have. I'm going to turn on 2 of them to start. And be careful, don't look at these spinning red lights for too long or you might get hypnotized and start talking like Dr. Splat. You don't want that. Splats are special buttons that light up and have speakers that you control with the app. You can use the app on a tablet or a Chromebook. And we're going to use the blocks in the app to build creations that bring these to life. I have 6 splats here. I'm going to connect them all to the app. When you start it up, if you haven't used that device before, you have to create a profile. I'm going to create a profile by pressing the Create New Profile button. I'm going to choose the Splat avatar that looks like the referee. And I'm going to make my profile name Dr. Splat.
Nice.
And then I'm presented with the screen that allows me to actually make a Bluetooth connection between the tablet that I'm using and the splats that I'm using. So the chasing lights are going on 2 of the splats right now, and you'll also see on the screen there are 2 splats that are ready to connect. I'll press the first one. I heard a sound that told me that splat is connected, and I also got feedback on the screen by the splat having a green outline shows that it's ready to go. Now you heard the sound again after I pressed the second splat. Now I have 2 connected. I'm going to go ahead and connect 2 more splats by turning these ones on, making sure that my 3 AA batteries have a lot of energy for my splat session. And I'm going to go into the app with 4 connected by pressing continue. Now I'm thinking of creations to make in the app, but I'm thinking I want 6 connected. So how do I change the number of splats that I have? At the very top left of the app, you can press the 6 and you'll see 2 more virtual splats come on the left side of the screen. These virtual splats don't have numbers yet because they have a plus next to them. And if I press the plus, once I turn on the additional 2 splats, I can connect them from inside the app. I'll show you how. So they've got the red chasing lights. I know they're ready to go. So I pressed the plus button next to the extra splat, and I got one more to connect. And now the final splat is connected. And you'll notice that each splat that connects has a way to identify itself. So you know which number of the splat it is. Pressing the ID button is a reminder at any time you can see that the splat that only has one green LED, the green dotted light, that's the first splat. The one that has two, that's the second splat, and so forth. You'll see 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you're using the app on a Chromebook, you can connect to your splats in a similar way as the app on a tablet. When you see one of the splats on the screen, you click on the splat and you'll get an additional pop-up and you connect from there. And do that for each one of the splats that you're going to connect. The Chrome web app works on Chromebooks and also on Mac laptops. For a list of compatible devices, please see our website. There are many ways to support coding splats in a school setting. You may want to take your splats into a computer lab or the gym or the library. It's up to you. We have a website for educators that will give you many different plans that have activities for each of these spaces. They also have connections to the standards such as the Next Generation Science Standards, the Computer Science Teachers Association standards, and the International Splat standards. Now that I have splats connected and I'm in the app, I'm going to explain to you some of the components of the app that will let you get started. One is the primary driver of coding for unruly splats are these blocks. These blocks are all categorized in this menu that says starting, sensing, lights, sounds. These are all different types of actions that the blocks will do. The coding blocks we have for splats, they light up, they make sounds, and they do things that are similar to different blocks. So we put them in categories. So you'll notice that you have a starting category, and there you have the two things that will start up a script, which is when a splat is pressed on or when a program starts. The next category is called sensing, and there that will let you put when you sense that one splat is a certain color, or when the stopwatch is a certain number, or there's a score that you're looking for. It allows you to sense things. We put those all together. The next category are lights, and it shows you how to light up the entire splat or just pieces of it, or do some of the functions that we have that fade in and out. Next category you'll find are sounds, and we provided a set of sounds that you can play, and we've given you a number of lists and some instruments that you can play through the splats. The next category is scoring, which relates to how do you keep score on the app when you're doing things on the splats. The controls category allows you to change the flow of the program by doing things like if and else, or repeating certain blocks over and over, and you can really take control over your programs. The math blocks let you do useful operations such as addition, subtraction, and also comparisons, such as if there's a value is equal to another, and do things like make random numbers. We also have variable categories, which allow you to make your own labels for numbers that will be changing that you want to refer to in your programs. And we can create our own functions that take blocks and give them a name so that you can make something happen and then just refer to it by the name in your programs. But you can create a function that happens every time you get to that particular block. All of the blocks can be selected from their category drawers. And once you put a finger on it, or if you're using the Chromebook, your mouse pointer, you can drag them into the scripting area. This is the area that looks like sort of a grid, and you can arrange any number of blocks there that you might think are useful by bringing them out of their block category drawers and dropping them onto the workspace. Once you have different blocks on the workspace, if you put two blocks close to each other, you'll notice that they can snap together, kind of like how physical Legos connect to each other in the real world. And when you move those blocks together, that becomes a stack of blocks that form a script that will run from top to bottom. Whichever one is on the top will do the one underneath it and underneath it until the entire stack is done. And you can press run at any time to make it run. But you'll notice that sometimes nothing happens when you press run because one of the blocks is when one of the splats is pressed. So let's find out what happens when one splat is pressed. Let's find out what happened when one splat is pressed. In this case, this splat turns green because the code says when splat 1 is pressed, light splat 1 with the color green. And so you see the entire splat turning green when I stepped on it or when I pressed it with my hand. So I have a stack of blocks and I can add one more block from a different category. So I go to the sound category by pressing that label and I'll see all these blocks that are related to sounds, and I can bring a block out, and like I snapped the last one, when I put it close to the blocks that are already there, it will snap together. And so now when the splat 1 is pressed, it will not only light up with the color, it will make a sound. So you see that the color is there, and if you listen closely, it also makes a sound every time that I press it.
Yeah, right!
Now, this is my first splat creation for this profile. Now, how would I save this if I wanted to come back and work on this again on the same tablet? I have a user tray that presents several options. I can change my settings, like the volume that you heard that sound. I can also go to the folder that's in the user tray and save my project by pressing the button, Save My Project. I'll have to give it a name so that I'll know what to come back to. I'll call this Green Splat with Sound. Whatever will allow me to remember what I was working on. And I could name the project very descriptively, or I can actually write a description in the next block and write notes about it. Okay, so this one is the raspberry sound. So that's my note. And now I save the project, and the user tray goes back along the right side of the app so that I can continue building my project. So in the file folder area of the user tray, we've already seen saving a project, and now it will appear under My Unruly Creations. When you select that portion, the rest of the menu goes away, and you see the name that you gave your first project. So when I click on that project, I have the choice to load the creation again or any of my other creations, and I also have the option to delete it. Now, if I bring a block that I don't want, I'm going to go and bring one of the math blocks into the stage. And I don't want that block necessarily. You know, that was something I was thinking about. I changed my mind. I can take that block and I can drag it back into the category from which it came, and it will go away. Or if I don't like all of the blocks that I have, I can use the X in the lower right portion of the screen, which deletes all of my work. And now I have a fresh start. Right now, I am going to light up a splat a different color. So I go to my lights category and I bring out another block to light it a different color, or to light a different splat. So any number that's on a splat, you can change to light up something on splat 1, splat 2. I have 6 splats. So I'm going to light some things on splat 2. So now my code is when splat 1 is pressed, I'm lighting splat 1, and I'm also lighting splat 2. Or am I? I think I might have chosen the wrong block. Oh, they were so close to each other that I chose to only light one LED on splat 2, and this was an accident. I'm going to use the undo button in the user tray, which is the circular arrow with the backwards facing. That undoes my last set of commands that I put in, or the last blocks that I used, or the last changes that I made to the numbers. So if I change my mind and say, you know what, I actually do want to talk about lighting LEDs now, I can use the redo button and put that back in the app. And this way, I'm lighting the second LED on splat number 2 with the color green. I kind of like that accident. That's kind of what we mean by being unruly. Sometimes you embrace the unexpected. I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to light it, instead of lighting it green every time, that one LED, I'm going to use the random selection from the drop-down menu on that block. And that means that every time I press splat number 1, it's going to make a different random color on that little dot on splat number 2. We're going to be doing more coding later so that we can explain how more in-depth projects are created. On the user tray, you also have a question mark. So the things that I'm talking about, they're also available in-app, where you can get help with the frequently asked questions and other useful tips as you go along. So don't be scared to use the question mark as you need it as you're working. It's been a pleasure having you watch this video. Thank you for your time, and if you have further questions, you can email educators@unruly-studios.com. And remember, always challenge the rules. Always think unruly. High five, Dr. Patsy.
Patsy.
Dr. Patsy.
Well, then we change it.
Wait, Dr. Patsy.
Dr. Patsy now.
You changed the variable.